Alrighty, hello Year 10 again. So today what we're going to do is use the labeling of the triangles and the work you did on working out what's sine, what's cosine and what's tan, using that SOH CAH TOA, and we are going to actually work out some angles. So we're going to use the whole thing to actually get some answers. Okay, so the first thing you need to do in order to find an angle from a triangle is you've got to know which two sides of the triangle you've got. Then we've got to choose which ratio we've got. Okay, so let's have a look at number one here. Now, number one, you've got a marked angle. Have down a look at C. And you've got two sides that are labeled. See this side here that's not labeled? I'm not really interested in him at all. He's kind of irrelevant. Okay, so we've got two sides and we've got to work out which sides they are. So thinking back to what I know, that 14 is the hypotenuse. Okay, so, oh, hang on. Oh, there she is again. Sorry about that. I forgot to put a new slide. Okay, so that 14 is the hypotenuse. Now that side 6, that's the one that can swap. If you have a look, it's between a right angle and the other marked angle, so that means it's the adjacent. Good job if you picked that. Now, next, we've got to think about SOH CAH TOA, and it's not a bad idea to have SOH CAH TOA written at the top of your page. We've got to work out which one has both of these. So has opposite and hypotenuse, so nah. CAH is cosine adjacent hypotenuse. Yep, that looks like a good fit. All right, so I'm going to use cosine. So the next thing I need to do is write up the formula. Now, when you write up the formula, do yourself a favor and just do ADJ over HYP. Now, the reason we use 3 letters generally, not one, is if you notice the opposite side looks like an O, and you don't want to be chucking a zero in rather than an O through a calculation if you read it by mistake. So 3 letters is not a bad idea to start off with. Okay, so there's the ratio. We've seen that before. So let's put the numbers in. So I'm going to, there it is. Okay, so if you notice, I put the number 6 into where the adjacent it goes, and I put the number 14 into where the hypotenuse goes. Be really careful. If you put them in the wrong way, it won't work. Okay, and I know because I'm looking for this, I will have had to press cosine -1, 6 over 14. All right, that's what goes into my calculator. I don't need to write that down if I don't want to. Okay, and oh, there you go, did it the next line down, and then my angle should fall out. There she is. That angle C is 64.6 degrees, and you'll notice that we're doing degrees to 1 decimal place. Okay, that's going to be your new standard. So whenever you see an angle or have to find an angle, you're going to do it to 1 decimal place. Got it? Let's move on to the next one. Okay, another triangle. Let's have a look at this one. So I can see the marked angle, and I can see I've got 3 centimeters and 8 centimeters. So what am I going to do? Yep, I'm going to label the triangle. So that's the adjacent side there. Notice it's all huggy with the angle and the right angle. And the other one's the opposite, okay, not the hypotenuse. So this time I'm going to use tan. So if you thought about the SOH CAH TOA, that's because I've got opposite and adjacent, I'm going to use tan. So there's my formula. Let's load her in and put the numbers in. Now, tan's a little bit unusual. That's the only one where you can have a big white number on top of a small. So, but you do have to be very careful, because if you put 3 over 8 in, it will also work, but it will be the wrong angle. So if you put 3 over 8 in, it'll work out this weird angle here. So just be very careful about the order you put them in. And you don't actually need to take it to that decimal. You can just run it. I tend to run the fractions straight through. So on my calculator, I would have tan -1, remember, which is shift tan, and 8 over 3. I put that in a nice bracket and I press equals. And that's the dead easy version to do that. When you do that, you work out that top angle is 69.4. All right, last one. Oh, nice looking triangle. There's my marked angle. I've got 10 and I've got 12. So let's mark those up. So, yep, it's the hypotenuse, or it's sine, I should say, because this is the hypotenuse and that is the opposite side. Remember, this one I don't know anything about, so I just kind of ignore it. Okay, so there we go. chuck her in. Again, with this one, I don't tend to worry about that line. And I just chuck this in. So I would go sine -1 of 10 fraction 12, or 10 divided by 12. Make sure it's in a bracket. And Bob's your uncle. There is the very beautiful angle, 56.4. Okay, so basically now I can do this. Kind of don't need a protractor very much, because if I've got two measurements, I can work out all the angles. The other thing, just as this endpoint, see how that's 90 and that's 56.4? You can work out that one is without doing anything, right? Because angles in a triangle add up to 180. All right, go find out what you need to do to practice this. Bye.